Welcome back to the Now Morning Show, where in this festive season, we've got some tips for you to stay safe in our spotlight.
Inside your spotlight this morning, we welcome CEO of Air Support Tactical Security Limited, Mr. Dirk Barnes, joining us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Mr. Barnes.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to the TTT family.
How are you doing this morning? Thank you so much for joining us.
Invigorated. You get up in the morning and do what you need to do, your exercise and stuff, and then ready to start my day. So I'm glad to be here with you guys. Just haven't had my coffee as yet.
All right, fantastic. Well, I hope you get that coffee as soon as we wrap this up this morning. But I want you to do me a favor and just tell the nation generally, what are some of the things from a security perspective that we should be concerned about during the Christmas season? What are the heightened things that you've noticed over the years?
Well, what I would want to tell people is that 2024 is definitely different from 1980. And I say 1980 because, people who were around that time can say, oh, that was the safest time that they could think of. But this is the season, it is the season. And this is the season that we will be, shopping, going to hardwares, looking at home improvements. We're doing cleaning of the home, so we're changing curtains, which means we're going to garment places. Then we have the gifts, so we're going to all of the malls. We purchasing stuff. It's a highly commercialized season. In fact, some would argue that this is probably the most commercialized season in Trinidad and Tobago, and it takes us straight into carnival. So, we go straight into spending money, into spending even more money, some of us. Now, this means that the criminal underworld, they're watching closely and they're going to maximize their profitability around this time. I mean, it's a business for them. So what we need to do is start to understand that we have to change our behaviors. Now, one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that people, while they shop, they still behave, again, like it's 1980. You go in, you purchase stuff, you come back out, you store it in your car, you go back in, you purchase more stuff, you come back out, you store it in your car. And what has been happening is that people's vehicles have been broken into and even stolen to get the contents. I mean, I operate in the stolen vehicle industry, the retrieval side of stolen vehicles. And we have seen many times during Christmas where a vehicle is stolen, is missing, and then when we do find it, all the contents are gone. So the only reason for taking that vehicle was just to get the contents. Now, there's other parts of it as well. We love social media. We love to talk about where we're going, what we're doing, where we carry the kids and all these things. And we like to do that in real time. I would want to suggest to people this is the time to be as private as possible. And you should desist from posting things in real time. I mean, you can post some of the activities on social media after the fact, but what you don't want to announce is where you are, what is the size of the engagement, who is there with you, as well as you don't want to post that you're not at home, because that means that you are opening up your home for possible burglaries. So those are some of the areas I would like people to look at, because it's not about going out and installing an elaborate security system, but about changing those behaviors, those intangibles that can save you or lessen your risk and save you money in the long run.
All right, so changing behaviors is definitely one of the factors that we have to take into consideration. And I really appreciate you bringing up that point of, making trips to the car, because I think it definitely resonated with some people who may need that reminder of, caution. But what are some of the things that we can do that are outside of behavioral patterns to make sure that we secure ourselves for this season?
Well, everything comes with planning. Whenever you are doing any kind of activity, as much as possible, you should look at what that activity is going to be, who you're going to be with, how long you're going to spend at that activity, and make sure that people at home who are not going to that activity as well is aware of all of your movements. So you do some check-ins. But why I'm talking about planning, because moving early, getting to the malls early means that you're going to get a better parking space, making sure that you could move with larger groups so that you'll be less of a target. And for women especially, moving late at those kind of mall areas should be avoided as much as possible. So planning your activities well in advance will help. For those people who have to do shopping, shop early. Don't get into the large crowds because you're thinking that you're looking for savings and stuff like that. Try to get your shopping out very early in the season. And as I'm on shopping, now that we are in that electronic space, Facebook Marketplace is a huge thing right now. And there are scammers on Facebook Marketplace. We see all of those issues where people are being robbed. And up to this morning or last night, I read that the TTPS has now opened a safe zone to conduct transactions when you're doing things with Facebook Marketplace. I would say get acquainted with those safe zones, use them if you have to conduct transactions, make sure police officers there, because we don't want to see some of your listeners and your viewers, as a statistic on the next morning reports.
Oh, most definitely not. But in terms of home security, you mentioned, we don't need to go and install a bunch of elaborate security systems, and sometimes just changing your behavior can assist with preventing any sort of negative outcome. But what sort of precautions should we be taking, even if we don't install a security system at home? Are there any extra precautions that we should be taking at home?
Well, this is a very good question. I love that question. Yes, there are certain things you could do, especially for people who have yards. You could look at keeping your yards and stuff clean so you have visibility to the roadway. So some of the things, check your locks. Sometimes your locks might be not working all that well. This is the time to start fixing them. Now, we do, as Trinidadians, always, sometimes things slip our minds. At night, make your rounds, check your locks in your house, make sure everything is locked up. Make sure that Sparky is inside and not outside if you have your dog inside. These are some of the little activities that you can do, but it doesn't hurt as well to double up on some early warning systems. Home alarm systems are great, especially if they're centrally monitored and have a response. But there are some simple things you could buy. I've seen them on Amazon. They're little noisemakers that you could put on your front door, and some people are selling them locally. That if somebody, interferes with your door, it will alert you, make a noise, probably warn them away. But at least give you that chance to secure your family and make a call to the TTPS so that you could get a response from them. So those are some of the areas that I would look at. And let me not forget lighting. If you have some bulbs outside that you have been, putting off and saying that you will get it, this is the time to start to change them. Proper lighting around your home is going to help even your neighbors spotting if it is something is happening at your home, that they need to call the police on your behalf. And lastly, neighborhood watches. This is a time you can reach out to your neighbors. Everybody will be a little bit more festive around this time and receptive to the idea of being my brother's keeper. So, establish a small neighborhood watch if you don't have a formal one, that you have everybody looking out for each other, and get yourself in a nice WhatsApp group so that you can communicate and let everybody know if there is an issue.
I was just about to ask of the importance of community assisting in this process, so I'm really happy that you were able to bring that up. One of the things you mentioned just now was lighting. During the Christmas season, people tend to, sometimes you might take off the main lights that you have in your house because you put up the decorative lights outside and you want people to see all the nice fancy icicle lights that you may have had, or whatever other decorative lights that you put outside to celebrate the season. Is that a risk?
I'm very much guilty of doing the same thing. It is a risk if it is that you create a blanket of light that blocks out the house. So you have to cater for that. So sometimes it might make sense to, go in the roadway, look at your house from the roadway, and I will normally tell my clients as well, when you're doing a risk assessment of your home, look at it from the thief's perspective. So you go on the roadway, turn on the lights to see what you can see and what you cannot see. And then you determine what you're going to do from there. It could be that at one point in time, from let me say 6 to 9, you have your lights on display. And then from 9 o'clock, those lights come off and your security lights go on. So you have to work that plan, which brings me back to the first thing I said a while ago, plan ahead. That is why that the people who plan ahead are the ones who normally are successful.
So planning ahead is key, changing your behavior is key, and making sure that you check your surroundings seems to be key as well. When it comes to securing yourself, you mentioned online shopping and you mentioned Facebook Marketplace, for example. But in terms of generally online shopping, are there any other concerns that we should be having from a security perspective besides the actual physical meeting up of people?
Well, security and law enforcement realm has now expanded beyond the physical realm. Now we have to look at the electronic realm. So around this time, you're going to have scammers coming out in all sorts of ways. More recently, I got a call from Samsung. supposedly that I had $500,000 to redeem.
Congrats.
So these kind of scams, yeah, I haven't redeemed it. And that's 500,000 US, by the way.
Nice.
But yeah, but these are scams, and if it's too good to be true, more than likely it is. So, you should not be looking to jump at these quick things that you're hearing online, and you will get some emails and WhatsApp messages from somebody who might be your friend who's saying that they're stuck in some country and they need you to send money. These are some of the scam type of activities that are going to take place around now. Be skeptical of electronic messages. Be skeptical of any deal that you find online. Very, very skeptical. If you cannot get that person to appear in front of a police officer to conduct a transaction, don't do the transaction. We are not in a space right now where we can just be trusting for people who are on social media. So I want to say that right now, the electronic realm do have criminals. They are performing well. They are very good at their trade. And if you're not an expert, you would not see it coming. So this is why I would say to you and all of your viewers, be very skeptical of all deals and bargains that you find online, especially where it's a cash system. Also, when you are going to websites to make any kind of purchase, check that URL up on top. Read it and make sure it is the correct thing.
All right. Well, Mr. Barnes, let me say thank you very much for joining us this morning and for sharing some of your knowledge and some of your advice. As we get, of course, closer and closer to the Christmas, everybody is going to be a bit more heightened. The awareness needs to be heightened as well, the planning and the precautions. So thank you very much. Before you go, though, I want to give you the opportunity to, send your Christmas greetings to Trinidad and Tobago if you so desire.
Most of it. Thank you so much. Christmas is definitely a time that we all enjoy, and it brings us into the new year, get a chance to reflect and look at all the things that we accomplished. I would want to wish Trinidad and Tobago, the best that they can have Christmas, most holy Christmas, and definitely a very prosperous and bright new year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dirk Barnes. Enjoy the rest of your day and all the best to you for the season as well.
Take care. Have a good one.
Take care. That's Dirk Barnes, CEO of Air Support Tactical Security Limited, joining us just to give you some security tips for the Christmas season. We take a quick break and we come back with more on the Now Morning Show. Stick around.